All right, so right here, right in front of you, you guys on your staff paper, you have the line side of the staff paper, right? And then you guys have the back, which is the blank side. When I'm on the line side, be on the line side of your paper. When I'm on the blank side, be on the blank side of your paper. Make sense? Yes. Speaking of the lines, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. And that means we have how many spaces? 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. Right, exactly. So we got 5 lines, 4 spaces. If I point to this note right here, this is the 4th line. 1, 2, 3, 4th line. What note is that?
D.
Oh, is it?
In a treble clef, it's D.
It wouldn't, well, it could, not key, why are we getting different answers? Because we don't have a what? A clef, right? So right now, the truth is that this is not a note. This has no letter name right now because we don't have a clef. So some of you guys throw out D. Somebody said C. If you were in the tenor clef, which is a C clef that nobody really plays in anymore, that would be a C. This is an F in bass clef, so it has a bunch of different names. So let's start by defining those couple of clefs, okay? First, we're going to talk about the treble clef. T-R-E-B-L-E-C-L-E-F. Treble clef. And this is how we draw it. This is how I draw it anyway. If you have your own personal way, great. Just make sure it actually looks like a treble clef and all the different loops and things are going in the correct direction. So let's start by doing this. You guys with me? Start by putting a dot underneath the bottom line of the staff there. Also start by, if you're on your phone and not taking notes, go ahead and put your phone away. That would be a good also start thing to do. Here we go. So then we got the dot underneath the staff line. We're going to draw a hook that goes all the way up above the staff. How far above the staff does it go? It's about all the way. Okay, good answer. It does go all the way above the staff, and then it extends about a space. The same way that you have these spaces evenly spaced, you want to aim for that much space above the clef. Does that make sense? So we draw a hook that goes up just like that. Okay? Then, after you have that hook, you go to the 1, 2, 3, 4th line, and you draw an uppercase D that goes down and touches that 4th line. So that's where we're at so far. And now we're on the final step. Okay, now we're on the final step. Is everyone with me still? All right, here we go. So, yes, we're fine. All right, here we go. This is just draw a capital G that's kind of swirly. Check it out. And you want to center it around this 2nd line right here. And the reason why we center that G and that bottom loop around the 2nd line is because the treble clef is a G clef. Everyone say G clef? G clef. And it designates the 2nd line as a G. Okay? Everything else in the treble clef is built around that. Now, we don't often memorize it as like, okay, well, here's a G, and now I have to go up alphabetically. So right here, this next space would be A, because the musical alphabet restarts at G. And then this line would be B, C, D, E, F. And you could go line space. You can do that, and it does work. However, there's an easier way to remember it that people have developed over the years. And that is giving an acronym for the lines and giving a mnemonic device for the spaces in the lines and trying to remember it that way. So that's what we're going to do. Start about halfway across the page and put a whole note on the bottom line. Now remember, when a note head is on the line, that means that the line passes through the center of the note head. If a space passed through the center of the note head, that means that the note is on the space. All right, just to review. Now give a little bit of space between them, okay, and then go draw one whole note on each of the 5 lines. But give a little bit of space between them. So, right here, our bottom line is an E. Our 2nd line is a G. 3rd line, B. 4th line, D. Top line, F. Now there's a bunch of different acronyms that people use to remember, a bunch of different sayings that people do. The one that I hear most often that ends up like in textbooks and online when you research it is every good boy does fine. Say it with me, go. Every good boy does fine. I'm from Las Vegas. In Vegas, there's a street called Fremont Street, and there's a lot of Elvis impersonators down there. So when I was a kid, they would always teach us Elvis goes boogieing down Fremont. which is kind of fun. There's also every good boy deserves fudge. Thanks for the pity laugh, whoever that was. I appreciate it. Deserves fudge. And then you got there's a whole bunch of other ones. Somebody told me in women's choir just yesterday, every good burger deserves fries, which I like that one a lot. So anyway, there's a lot of good ones out there. So next we have to identify the spaces. That's the spots between the lines, right? So now put a whole note in between each of these. All right, here we go. So this right here, just try to fit things in where you can. If you need to put yours off to the side or whatever, it doesn't work as smoothly, but it still works. All right, here we go. Over here we got, this just spells what? Face. So it goes F, A, C, and E. So the spaces just spell face. Now look, as you're going through, now you'll notice if you go line, space, and you don't skip, it goes E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, and then it goes G, and then it would keep going from there, and we'll talk about that in a second, okay? So that's your treble clef, and how we apply that is this. So look, if I put this note on the board right here, all right, good. So over here, if I told you that this note was on the third line, and I asked you to read what note that is, we would go, every good boy, and this note is B. Do you guys see what to do? What if I got rid of that guy and I said that note up there? You guys tell me, what note is that? Say it with me. F, because every good boy does. And it works for the spaces as well. So if I asked you guys to identify this note right here, it would go F, A, C, E. And then so you know that's a C. So that's how we use that system, all right? So now let's talk about this for bass clef, which is our other clef that we frequently use. So B, A, S, S, C, L, E, F, bass clef. All right, and this is how we draw a bass clef. We start by putting a dot in the third space. A dot in the third space. Everyone with me still? Okay, and then you draw half of a heart. Aww. No? Okay, sorry. All right, here we go, and then we go. And then in the fourth space, you're going to put a dot. And in the third space, you're going to put a dot. And it's really important that you put the dot between the third space and the fourth space because this indicates what note this is right here. Does anyone remember what kind of clef the bass clef is? It's an F. It's an F clef. So it's an F clef that tells us that the fourth line is F. So this is F, okay? So now, all the other notes are based off that. And if you notice back at the treble clef, G is on the second line and everything moves alphabetically from G. It's just easier to remember it the other way. So now, let's start all the way up against the clef and draw 5 whole notes once again on your lines, leaving space for notes in between them. Okay? So now you have 5 lines, and these 5 lines are G, B, D, F, and A. So the one I hear most often for this one, just like I hear every good boy does fine, for this one I hear good boys do fine always. Everybody say that with me, go. Good boys do fine always. Yep. And then over here, going back to some of the ones you guys were saying about like bridges or burritos or whatever. Good burritos don't fall apart. Great bridges don't fall apart. That works as well. The one that good burgers deserve fries always. So whatever works best for you. But like I said, good boys do fine always is the one that I see most often. So it's usually the one I'll use in class. Now check it out. This is the one that throws me off. Not when I'm actually playing music. It doesn't throw me off. I can identify all of my notes on the staff and stuff. Hopefully I've been doing this for a while and I can get that part right. But what throws me off is teaching it. Because this one is A. This is the spaces for the bass clef. The spaces for the bass clef are A, C, E, and G. And usually when I'm teaching it, what I'll tell people is all cows eat grass. The other one I've heard a lot though is all cars eat gas. So then I start talking too fast while I'm teaching and I go, all cows eat gas. And it doesn't work. And I do it way more than I do it. And now I've done it wrong so many times that I'm just in my head about it. So even right now while I was teaching it, I had to like take a deep breath. I had to center my chi, clear my chakras, and I was like, okay, all cows eat grass, and I did it right. But it's really challenging for me because I'm really psyched out by it. All right, focus back in, you guys. So right here, these are, and you'll notice, same thing. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. So one more time, if I gave you guys another test and I said, okay, identify what note that is for me, we would go, is it on a line or a space? Space. It's on a space. So we're going to go, all cows eat grass. So this note is? E. Good. All right, nice job. If I gave you guys another one, and I said, oh, sorry, that's sloppy. There we go. Now look, if we put that one there, is that on a line or a space? Line. It's a line, and so the note is good boys do fine, and the note is F, and that's how we work that. Does that sound good? Everybody kind of get it? All right, nice. So now let's take a quick second and write some definitions on the back of your paper. So the first thing that I'd like you guys to write down is, once again, write treble clef. T-R-E-B-L-E-C-L-E-F. Treble clef. All right, a treble clef is a G clef where line, nope, don't want the chords yet. 2 is G. So a treble clef is a G clef where line 2 is G. The lines of the treble clef, and if I'm starting to go a little fast, don't panic. I'll give you a second to catch up. The lines of the treble clef, we're going to write every, underline the E, good, underline the G, boy, underline the B, does, underline the D, and fine, underline the F. Again, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to give you a second to catch up, so don't panic, okay? I see the worry across some of your faces. Spaces. Spell. Face. Okay? So there's your treble clef. Now, you got your bass clef. B-A-S-S-C-L-E-F. All right, again, don't stress out if you're falling behind. I promise I'm going to give you a second to get caught up. The bass clef is an F clef where line 4 is F. And when I say lines, I'm always counting from the bottom. So the bottom line would be line 1. Oh, I guess I should not leave letters off words. Where line 4 is F. And the lines of the bass clef are good, underline the G, boys, underline the B, do, underline the D, fine, underline the F, always, underline the A. And then the spaces of the bass clef are all, underline the A, cows, underline the C, eat, underline the E, grass, underline the G. All right, so let your lines go like this. So look, you go A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay? So what would this next space be? If this was F, then the next space would be G. G. Good. And then the next line above that would be A. And so on and so forth. And you could keep going up from there. Let's read a really high up ledger line. Please stop talking. All right, here we go. So over here we go A. And then, so we know that that was A, but let's just read it from the top. Are you guys ready? So over here, this is, what note is that at the top? F. The next space up would be? G. And let's try to get all the way up to this note right here. After G, this is, this is, this is, this is, and this is. So that note would be E. Does that make sense? Tell me what I did wrong. This note is F. Okay, that's F. The next letter is G. The next letter is A. The next letter is B. So this is a B. What did I do wrong? Skipped all the spaces. Make sure you don't skip the spaces when you're going through all of that stuff. Okay, so make sure you go line space, line space, line space. And that'll help you to get the correct answers there. Let's go over here and do a lower one right here. We won't go as low because going backwards in the alphabet is not as fun. So let's just go right here. All right, so this is G. What's one letter below G? F. Good. And then what's one letter below F? E. Good. And then what's one letter below E? D. What's one letter below? C. Good. And that's C. So this ends up being a C, and that's how we figure that out. All right? Okay, if you guys have questions, please ask them. I'm just asking, don't have side conversations, okay? Does anyone have a question about anything ledger line related? All right, going forward then, we have A right up. So let's figure out what's going on in between the treble and the bass clef here. So right here we have A. What would be the, so this is the line. What would be the space above A? B, right? And that takes us up to the line. This is C, and some of you are spoiling it, but yes, it is a special C. We'll talk about that in a second. So what's one ledger space below E? D, okay, so this is D. And then what would be one line below D? C. So this C ends up being in the middle of the treble and the bass clef, which is why it has received the name middle. Oh, if I could spell. M-I-D-D-L-E, middle C, okay? So this is middle C right here. And the reason why middle C is as important is because we can combine the treble and bass clef together using middle C and putting a bracket there. And now we have a new type of staff, which is not just a single staff, it's a double staff. And what's the name of the staff when you combine treble and bass together? It's the grand staff. It's also called the great staff. Both of those names are perfectly relevant. And neither of them is wrong. I hear grand staff more often than I hear great staff, but both of them are good names for it. What instrument plays in the grand staff? The piano plays in the grand staff. What the organ, also all keyboard instruments. What's an instrument that's a string instrument that plays in the grand staff?
Guitar.
No. Harp. Harp is correct. Guitar plays just chord charts or just on the treble clef. All right, bass guitar just plays bass clef. All right, so there you go. So these are, what's it called when you add lines or spaces above or below? Ledger lines. That's, here, let's write that word up. L-E-D-G-E-R-L-I-N-E-S. Ledger lines. Okay, so that's ledger lines. And then you have middle C. And when you combine all of this together, you get the grand staff. Okay? Anybody have questions about those things? You guys good? Yes. Hey, nice job today, you guys. We will pick up next time and do another quick review.